Some objects are forgotten. Others refuse to be. It was supposed to be just another dusty relic, an old cracked camera buried in a forgotten antique shop on the edge of Chicago. But inside it, was a secret someone went to great lengths to bury. A photograph that shouldn't exist. A crime no one was meant to remember. And a face that defies time itself. Tonight, we follow the chilling investigation of a collector who uncovered a mystery that spans nearly a century, a man who appears in the shadows of history, unchanged. And if this camera captured him once, he might be watching still. It started with an old camera. Nothing fancy, just a battered black box with a cracked lens, sitting in a dusty antique shop on the outskirts of Chicago. Its previous owner was long gone, a man nobody remembered, and yet somehow, it survived decades of neglect, hidden among rusted typewriters and cracked porcelain dolls. The day it caught the eye of a local collector, no one could have predicted what it would reveal. Inside the camera, there was a roll of undeveloped film. Thick, brittle, yellowed at the edges. The kind that makes you think twice before handling it, as if the paper itself is holding its breath. The collector, a meticulous man who had handled thousands of vintage cameras, brought it home with a mix of curiosity and unease. Something about it felt different. He set it carefully on his dining table, lit a small lamp, and began the slow, careful process of developing the images. The first frames were ordinary, street scenes, storefronts, a few people enjoying a sunny day in the 1920s. Then came the photograph that froze him. It was a narrow city alley, the kind that disappears behind brick buildings. A man lay on the cobblestones, his body twisted unnaturally, a dark stain spreading across his shirt. Police tape hung loosely in the background. Shadows of officers loomed over him, faces frozen in the grainy black and white capture. This was a crime scene. And it wasn't just any crime. The collector recognized it immediately from old newspaper archives, the murder of Harold Trent, a young journalist found beaten to death in Chicago, summer of 1924. The case had never been solved. But it wasn't the murder alone that made his hands tremble. Just behind the officers, partially hidden in shadows, stood a man in contemporary clothing. Jeans, a hoodie, sneakers. His posture was casual, almost bored, but the camera had captured him in perfect focus. The face, was unmistakable. The collector knew this man. He had seen him on the news, in local interviews, a man alive today, ordinary, unremarkable. And yet, there he was, captured at a murder scene almost a century old. Disbelief washed over him. There had to be an explanation. A prank, a look-alike, a clever forgery. But as he examined the other frames, more unsettling details emerged. A street lamp perfectly intact, its design long out of use. A storefront sign matching photos from the era. Even the officers' uniforms were correct down to the badges. Every element screamed authenticity. He pored over newspaper articles, police records, city archives. Harold Trent had been investigating organized crime in the city, digging too close to the heart of something dangerous. His death had made headlines, but the investigation went cold almost immediately. No suspects. No arrests. No closure. Just a hole in history, quietly ignored. And now, a photograph, a single, impossible image, was threatening to tear that hole wide open. He tried to rationalize it. Perhaps a composite? But the film was real, developed in his kitchen, the negatives delicate, the emulsion uneven. There was no way to fake its age. Then he noticed the figure wasn't just present. He was looking straight at the camera. Not distracted by the chaos, not caught mid-motion, he was deliberately gazing at the lens, as if aware of the decades it would take for someone to see him. The effect was uncanny. Over the next week, the collector mapped the alley in present-day Chicago, comparing old maps, building layouts, even walking the streets at night. Every detail aligned. The image wasn't a trick. It was a window into the past. Then came the revelation that shattered any remaining disbelief. He ran the man's modern face through facial recognition software. The results were instant. Not a look-alike. Not a descendant. The exact same person. Alive today. And yet, the man had no digital footprint older than 20 years. No childhood photos. No college records. No early life. He had emerged fully formed, leaving only traces like shadows in old photographs, glimpses in forgotten alleys. The collector's obsession grew. He contacted historians, archivists, even paranormal researchers. Some whispered about time slips, others about cursed objects. One elderly archivist, after studying the photograph, leaned close and said, almost under his breath, "Sometimes, things happen that leave no trace except the ones that choose to remember them." Then he found a diary tucked away in the same antique shop. Written by Harold Trent, it was filled with cryptic entries about someone, beyond time, someone who watched, who interfered, who appeared at moments that made no sense. Harold described shadowy figures, unexplained encounters, doors that opened to nowhere. The language was frantic, paranoid, meticulous. Harold had been close to something no one else could see. The diary ended abruptly, on July 17, 1924. A single sentence scrawled in jagged letters, "I have seen him, and he sees me. He will not age, and I will not live to tell why." It was as if Harold had known what the collector would find a century later. The man in the photograph, alive today, had somehow crossed time. Or perhaps he had always existed outside it, a predator moving through decades with perfect invisibility, leaving only whispers behind. The murder of Harold Trent wasn't just an unsolved crime. It was evidence of something that defied every law, every principle of cause and effect. The collector didn't tell anyone. Not the police. Not the media. Not even his closest friends. Some truths aren't meant for the world. They are too heavy, too fragile. Instead, he kept the photograph locked away, hidden in a safe, as if protecting the world from it might keep him sane. Yet he couldn't stop thinking about it. He returned to the alley at night, imagining the scene, imagining the figure in the hoodie watching from the shadows. The wind whispered between the bricks, and for a moment, he felt it, the awareness of being observed. The photograph remained his secret, a silent testament to a truth that could not be ignored. And somewhere, alive today, the man walked free, knowing perhaps that he had been seen. Knowing that across the span of time, someone had glimpsed him, a glimpse that would haunt them forever. Some images, once captured, never fade. They linger. They wait. And sometimes, they remember for you. At night, in the quiet of his apartment, the collector dreams of that alley, of Harold Trent, of the figure in the hoodie. When he wakes, he sometimes finds himself staring at the wall, half expecting that face to be looking back. Time is not a river. It is a room. And some of us, unknowingly, step inside and never leave. Sometimes, just sometimes, they smile at you from the shadows.